Let's go over Genesis 33 to 35. In Genesis 33, after years of estrangement, Jacob finally meets his brother Esau, whom he once deceived. Fearful of Esau's wrath, Jacob approaches with great humility, bowing 7 times to the ground. But rather than seeking revenge, Esau runs to embrace him, weeping. The reunion is unexpectedly tender. Jacob introduces his family, and though Esau declines Jacob's gifts, Jacob insists, saying, seeing Esau's face is like seeing the face of God. Esau offers to travel together, but Jacob, citing the needs of his children and livestock, respectfully declines and takes a slower route to Sukkoth, where he builds shelters. Eventually, he arrives safely in Shechem, in Canaan, and erects an altar to the God of Israel. Concepts you can learn from Genesis 33. Reconciliation and forgiveness. The chapter shows the power of reconciliation, even after deep betrayal. Esau forgives Jacob wholeheartedly, highlighting the grace that can be found in letting go of resentment. 2. Humility in conflict. Jacob approaches Esau with humility and reverence, even though he is wealthy and powerful. This illustrates that humility can disarm tension more effectively than pride. 3. Peace over pride. Both brothers demonstrate wisdom. Esau in his forgiveness, Jacob in his caution and care. They prioritize peace over ego. 4. Seeing the divine in others. Jacob tells Esau, seeing your face is like seeing the face of God, suggesting that when we approach others with open hearts, we encounter something sacred. Problem-solving techniques for daily life. 1. Approach conflict with humility. When facing interpersonal tension, lead with humility rather than defensiveness. Like Jacob bowing before Esau, such gestures can open doors to healing. 2. Seek genuine reconciliation, not just resolution. Go beyond just fixing a problem. Try to restore relationships through empathy and sincere gestures, even if the outcome is uncertain. 3. Give space after resolution. Just as Jacob doesn't rush to travel with Esau, it's wise to allow space after a conflict resolution. Healing may begin with a warm embrace, but it needs time to take root. 4. Interpret faces, not just words. Jacob saw something divine in Esau's face. In daily life, learning to read emotions and body language can reveal more than verbal communication. It fosters emotional intelligence. That's hard for some of us, but for others, use your gift. 5. Honor the past, but don't be bound by it. Jacob doesn't deny his past wrongs, but he doesn't let them prevent the future. Acknowledging mistakes while striving for peace is a powerful forward path. This chapter emphasizes the balance between extremes, cowardice and rashness, pride and shame. In short, Genesis 33 teaches us how to reconcile with dignity, forgive with strength, and navigate human relationships with grace that hints at the divine. Genesis 34 is a dark and complex chapter in the story of Jacob's family. It begins when Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah, goes out to visit the women of the land. She's seen and raped by Shechem, the son of Hamor, a local Hivite prince. Despite the violence, Shechem falls in love with Dinah and asks his father to arrange a marriage. Jacob hears what's happened, but waits for his sons to return. When they do, Dinah's brothers, especially Simeon and Levi, are furious. Hamor and Shechem approach Jacob to negotiate the marriage, even offering intermarriage and trade between their peoples. Jacob's sons deceitfully agree, but on the condition that all Hivite males be circumcised. Hamor and Shechem agree and persuade their people to comply. But 3 days later, while the men are still in pain after the circumcision, Simeon and Levi attack the city, kill all the males, including Shechem and Hamor, rescue Dinah, and plunder the town. Jacob is horrified, fearing retaliation from neighboring tribes. The chapter ends with Simeon and Levi defending their actions, saying, "Should he treat our sister like a prostitute?" Concepts you can learn from Genesis 34. 1. The complexity of justice and revenge. The chapter portrays a difficult moral tension. Shechem's act is vile, but the retaliation by Jacob's sons is extreme. It invites reflection on justice, vengeance, and proportionality. 2. The consequences of deceit. The sons of Jacob use deceit to exact revenge. While it achieves immediate results, it fractures trust and risks greater conflict. A lesson on the dangers of manipulation, even when motivated by righteous anger. 3. Family honor and responsibility. Simeon and Levi act out of a fierce loyalty to Dinah, showing the deep weight of family responsibility. But their impulsive actions contrast with the more restrained approach of Jacob, raising questions about emotional control. 4. The silence of the victim. Dinah does not speak in the chapter. Her silence may reflect a historical reality, but it also urges us today to be mindful of whose voices are heard and whose are not, especially in stories of trauma. Problem-solving techniques for daily life. 1. Pause before acting in anger. Like Jacob, who waits to respond until his sons return, it's wise to pause and reflect before reacting. Rash decisions often escalate conflict. 2. Seek justice, not revenge. In conflicts, especially serious ones, strive for solutions that are fair and healing rather than emotionally satisfying but destructive. This distinction is crucial in both personal and professional life. 3. Communicate with all voices. The absence of Dinah's voice is a reminder to include and listen to those directly affected. In any group or team decision, ensure everyone, especially the vulnerable, gets a say. 4. Beware of appearing cooperative while planning harm. Manipulative solutions, like the son's false agreement, erode trust and reputation. Authentic communication, even when hard, is better than deceit cloaked in diplomacy. 5. Balance emotion with wisdom. Simeon and Levi are driven by righteous fury, but Jacob sees the broader picture. In your life, let passion inform your sense of justice, but let wisdom shape your response. This chapter warns about becoming the monster one fights. It also emphasizes harmony, respect, and justice within the family and society, suggesting that restoring order matters as much as punishing wrong. Genesis 34 doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it invites us to wrestle with the complexity of justice, the cost of rage, and the need for ethical leadership in moments of crisis. In Genesis 35, after the bloody events in Shechem, God tells Jacob to leave and go to Bethel, the sacred place where he first encountered the divine in a dream years before. Jacob instructs his household to put away foreign gods and purify themselves before their journey. As they travel, God causes a holy fear to fall on the surrounding cities, so no one pursues them. At Bethel, Jacob builds an altar and God reaffirms the covenant. Jacob is now to be called Israel. and he will father a nation and a community of nations. From there, tragedy strikes. Rachel dies giving birth to Benjamin, and Jacob buries her near Bethlehem, setting up a pillar in her memory. Reuben, Jacob's eldest son, commits a grave act by sleeping with Bilhah, his father's concubine, an action that will haunt him later. Jacob then returns to his father Isaac, who dies at the age of 180 and is buried by both his sons. Jacob and Esau, united once more in grief. Concepts you can learn from Genesis 35. 1. Renewal and purification. The chapter emphasizes spiritual renewal. Jacob calls his household to cast off idols and commit to God. It's a turning point, both physically and spiritually, in their journey. 2. Legacy and identity. God renames Jacob Israel again, highlighting how identity evolves with experience. It reminds us that our names, roles, and sense of self can be transformed by divine or moral encounters. 3. Life and loss interwoven. The birth of Benjamin and the death of Rachel occur in the same breath. The chapter acknowledges the dual nature of life. Joy and sorrow often walk hand in hand. 4. Respecting the sacred. The burial of Rachel and later Isaac show deep reverence for the dead and for memory, suggesting the importance of honoring those who came before. 5. Private sin, public consequences. Reuben's impulsive act is quietly noted, but not forgotten. It will affect his status later. Even unspoken actions can shape our legacy. Problem-solving techniques for daily life. 1. Start with inner cleansing. Before major life transitions or decisions, take stock of what needs to be let go. Old habits, unhealthy attachments, foreign gods. Renewal begins with inner clarity. 2. Honor milestones with meaning. Like Jacob building an altar or setting a pillar for Rachel, mark meaningful events in your life with reminders, photos, or even just something that reminds you of important events in your life. This builds mindfulness and gratitude. 3. Leading your community with integrity. Jacob leads his entire household in spiritual renewal. In your own circles, family, friends, workplace, you can be a calm center guiding others toward growth. Be an example. 4. Accept suffering as part of the journey. Pain and joy often arrive together. Like Rachel's death during childbirth, hard moments can coexist with blessings. Resilience means allowing both to be part of your story. 5. Own your identity transformation. As Jacob becomes Israel, you too are not bound by your past. Use every challenge to evolve into someone wiser, stronger, and more aligned with your deeper values. Genesis 35 shows that life is constant change. New names, new births, painful losses, spiritual evolution. It also shows a leap of faith. Jacob must move forward not with guarantees, but with trust that transformation and divine purpose and promise await. This chapter is a reminder that amid the chaos of life, we can still choose sacred direction, choose to grow, and choose to build altars, both literal and metaphorical, to what really matters. Today's reading will be from the Legacy Standard Bible. It has become my favorite Bible. I haven't quite gotten used to Yahweh yet, using God's name instead of just Lord God, but I do appreciate a direct translation. Using the name instead of Lord God it's just, just a preference. To me, it's something I'm going to try to get used to because I love the rest of the Bible. I like that direct translation instead of a interpretation. If you're interested, there will be a link and you can go check out all the information for yourself. Genesis 33, Jacob meets Esau. Then Jacob lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the 2 servant women. And he put the servant women and their children first, and Leah and her children after them, and Rachel and Joseph after them. But he himself passed on ahead of them and bowed down to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, "Who are these with you?" And he said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the servant women came near with their children, and they bowed down. Leah likewise came near with her children, and they bowed down. And afterward Joseph came near with Rachel, and they bowed down. And he said, "What do you mean by all these camps which I have met?" And he said, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have plenty, my brother. Let what you have be your own." And Jacob said, "No, please, if now I have found favor in your sight, then take my present from your hand, for I see your face as one sees the face of God, and you have received me favorably. Please take my blessing which has been brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have everything." Thus he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, "Let us take our journey and go, and I will go before you." But he said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are weak, and that the flocks and herds which are nursing are a care to me, and if they are driven hard one day, all the flocks will die. Please let my Lord pass on before his servant, and I will lead on slowly, according to the pace of the cattle that are before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord at Seir." Then Esau said, "Please let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, "Why do this? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built for himself a house and made booths for his livestock. Therefore the place is named Succoth. Now Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Paddan Aram, and he camped before the city. Then he bought a portion of the field where he had pitched his tent from the hand of his sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 kesitah. Then he set up there an altar and called it El-Elohe Israel. Genesis 34. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Then Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her and took her and lay with her and violated her. And he was deeply attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman and spoke to the heart of the young woman. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this girl as a wife." Now Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter, but his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob kept silent until they came in. Then Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. Now the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved. And they were very angry, because he had done a disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter. For such a thing ought not to be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife, and intermarry with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. Thus you shall live with us, and the land shall be open before you. Live and trade in it, and take possession of property in it." And Shechem also said to her father and to her brothers, "If I find favor in your sight, then I will give whatever you say to me." Ask me ever so much bridal payment and gift, and I will give according as you say to me. But give me the girl as a wife." But Jacob's sons answered Shechem and his father Hamor with deceit, and thus they spoke, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said to them, "We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. Only on this condition will we consent to you. If you will become like us, in that every male among you be circumcised, then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters for ourselves, and we will live with you and become one people. But if you will not listen to us to be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and go." Now their words seemed good in the sight of Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. So the young man did not delay to do the thing, because he was delighted with Jacob's daughter. Now he was more honored than all the household of his father. So Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of their city and spoke to the men of their city, saying, "These men are peaceful with us. Therefore let them live in the land and trade in it, for behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us as wives and give our daughters to them. Only on this condition will the men consent to us to live with us, to become one people, that every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. Will not their livestock and what they acquire and all their cattle be ours? Only let us consent to them, and they will live with us." And all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and to his son Shechem, and every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. Now it happened on the third day, when they were in pain, that two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took a sword and came upon the unsuspecting city and killed every male. And they killed Hamor and his son Shechem with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went away. Jacob's sons came upon the slain and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks and their herds and their donkeys, and that which was in the city and that which was in the field. And they captured and plundered all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives, even all that was in the houses. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have brought trouble on me by making me odious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And my men being few in number, they will gather together against me and strike me, and I will be destroyed, I and my household." But they said, "Should he treat our sister as a harlot?" Genesis 35. Jacob goes up to Bethel. Then God said to Jacob, "Arise, go up to Bethel and live there, and make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign gods which are among you, and cleanse yourselves and change your garments, and let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make an altar there to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and has been with me whenever I have gone." So they gave to Jacob all the foreign gods which they had, and the rings which were in their ears. And Jacob hid them under the oak which was near Shechem. Then they journeyed on, and there was a terror from God upon the cities which were around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, that is, Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him, and he built an altar there, and called the place El Bethel, because God had revealed himself to him when he fled from his brother. Then Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried below Bethel under the oak. It was named Elam Bakoth. Jacob is renamed Israel. Then God appeared to Jacob again when he came from Padam Aram, and he blessed him. And God said to him, "Your name is Jacob. Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name." Thus he called his name Israel. God also said to him, "I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply." A nation and an assembly of nations shall come from you, and kings shall come forth from your loins. And the land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will give it to you, and I will give the land to your seed after you. Then God went up from him in the place where he had spoken with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured out a drink offering on it. He also poured oil on it. So Jacob named the place where God had spoken with him, Bethel. Then they journeyed from Bethel, and there was still some distance to go to Ephrath. And Rachel gave birth, and she suffered severely in her labor. Now it happened that when she was in severe labor, the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, for now you have another son." Now it happened as her soul was departing, for she died, that she was named Ben-Onon. But his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, and that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar over her grave, that is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Then Israel journeyed on and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Eder. The sons of Jacob. Now it happened while Israel was dwelling in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. And there were 12 sons of Jacob. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, then Simeon and Levi, Judah, and Issachar and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin, and the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's servant woman, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpath, Leah's servant woman, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. And Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre of Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had sojourned. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years, and Isaac breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, an old man and full of days. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. That was Genesis 33 through 35. I'm glad you joined me, and I'm Meryl. This is Battlegram. If you're interested in more Bible verses, go here. And if you're interested in Granny's crazy ideas, go here. Join me again. Subscribe, click like. I could use the help. Goodbye.